episode 23.
And this is a very special episode because it is part 2 of an ADHD Awareness Month, 2-parter with the ADHD Adults podcast from the charity ADHD Adult UK with Dr. Alex Connor and Dr. James Brown. So if you haven't already listened to part 1,
then you need to go and find their podcast, and it's available on all streaming services, including YouTube, so you can see us in person.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, we just look like a pair of plums. But you can listen to that. It was released yesterday. So, get involved in
the ADHD Adults podcast, which is our first ever podcast, our first ever appearance on somebody else's podcast.
It was bizarre, wasn't it?
It was so strange because it was literally like, if you've listened to our podcast before, you'll know that we just babble and whatever comes into our heads comes out of our mouths, and we don't really have much of a plan. And obviously the boys are both scientists and they're a lot more structured, and there is an actual plan. So the whole thing, I was just kind of sitting on my hands and trying not to blurt out. And yeah, it was strange to be asked questions, not asking questions. So It was a relief when we swapped over and got back on our platform to do things our way, which is what's coming up. But didn't we have a giggle?
Oh, we did. It was such a laugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really nerve-wracking for me. Like I mean, I'm doing this podcast and stuff, but I get super nervous speaking in front of people, and then when I'm asked questions on the spot, because I struggle to articulate myself at the best of times. So when I'm put on the spot and asked questions, even more so. So it was nerve-wracking, but it was good, and it's all in the name of awareness. And
yeah, we really enjoyed it. It was just so funny to watch me not answer every single question that I was asked, despite trying really hard. I mean, I still think I said some useful things, but I don't think I answered a single question that they asked me. But there you go.
Yeah, well,
we'll stick to our own podcast.
Yeah. But we appreciate them for letting us speak on their platform.
Yeah, it is all about community, and we have to join together as a community to raise awareness, to validate others in the community that are suffering, and to open the eyes of people who, just like us a while ago, didn't understand anything about ADHD.
Yeah, we
have to join voices. That was forces and voices, and both work in that sentence actually, and make some goddamn noise. Yes. And that is what we are doing. So thank you so much to Alex and James for collaborating with us, and for inspiring us, and for helping us, and for supporting us, and for educating us about fat crabs.
If you've not listened to their episode, please go listen, because even if you just want to hear a bit about fat crabs, which was,
educate yourself.
Yeah, educate yourself on fat crabs. Something I didn't know existed until this week. So.
And they're incurable, so
Yeah.
Once you got them,
devastating. Their lives.
But anyway, obviously this is going out ahead of time. Oh no, it isn't actually.
No, it's
out on the day that Dawn gets her ADHD assessment.
Shit the bed.
It's actually happening finally at last, and in ADHD Awareness Month.
I know, it's all very serendipitous.
Once again, serendipity is at us.
It's bizarre. It's like, ADHD Awareness Month. We just hit 5,000 followers on Instagram.
We're about to hit a very big milestone.
About to hit 100,000 downloads. Even saying that, it's just what the actual...
Potentially on the day that you get diagnosed.
Yeah. It looks like we're going to hit it on the 2nd.
Yeah.
And that's... Yeah, it's just all of these things coming together. It's like, this is the universe speaking to you, and this is supposed to happen. So assessment day on the 2nd, Tuesday the 2nd.
Tuesday the 4th. But
on the 4th, Tuesday the 4th. Yeah.
And actually, we've got something else to talk about in terms of dates, but we'll stop talking now because you just reminded me how we mess up dates, and we've got something else to announce, but we'll come back to that at the end. But suffice to say that Dawny's day... Can I call you Dawny? I call you Dawny in my head. Do you know that? But I never say it to your face because I don't think you'd like it.
You can call me whatever you like.
So Dawny's day is up tomorrow, and we are going to be documenting her experience in the next episode. So we very, very much look forward to sharing that, and for Dawn's wait to finally be over and for her to be out the other side.
Yeah. It's a coming out party.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, we should shut up. and let the boys talk for part 2 of our ADHD Awareness Month collaboration with the ADHD Adults.
Let's go.
ADHD as females, ADHDAF, ADHD as females, the podcast.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Laura, and
we are ADHD AF.
Seriously. We are 2 neurodivergent neighbours who moved to the same street at the same time, at the same age, with the same undiagnosed disability. What are the chances?
Since discovering the enormous impact ADHD has had on our lives and the horrifying numbers of missed and undiagnosed females, it has become our mission to make some serious noise.
We want to use our voices to raise awareness, break the stigma, and share our experiences in the hope that they help others.
So join us for a chat, or as it's called up here in Aberdeen, a blether.
Trigger warning, we will be covering some really sensitive topics, so please do have a read of the description of each episode before listening.
It's important to note that we are not medical professionals, we're not therapists or coaches, we're not qualified to offer advice or support. What we will do is share our experiences alongside resources and information from professionals. We will talk over each other and we will go off topic and forget the point mid-sentence.
We are both assigned female at birth, which means that we can only speak from the experience of life as AFAB people. However, ADHDAF is an inclusive space. Whatever your gender, you are very welcome here.
Yes, you are.
ADHD as females, ADHDAF.
Hello, it is episode 23 of the ADHD as Females podcast, and we are joined by the amazing Dr. James Brown and Dr. Alex Connor of ADHD Adults podcast and the charity ADHD Adult UK. And it's quite a special episode. We have had the pleasure of being interviewed on their podcast, which is a first time being on somebody else's podcast.
I know,
really, really surreal,
really bizarre. What's really nice about it is that I don't have to edit it, so so happy.
Nor does Alex.
Thank you so much for joining us, boys, and thank you so much for having us on.
Yes.
I immediately feel so much better that now we're in charge and I can't do anything wrong.
Yeah. It's quite scary being on a podcast. That's the first podcast I've ever been on. Well, obviously apart from our one, but you know.
How is it to now be in the interviewee seat, boys?
Don't like it. Well, as you know, off air, I've just had a catastrophe and spilt powdered milk all over my bedroom because I put the lid on the bottom of the container, not the top. So basically, if that's the bar above which everything else has got to be, nothing can go wrong. It's like the eat a frog phrase from Mark Twain. If you eat a frog first thing in the morning, nothing's worse than that. So basically, you could give me shit for the next half an hour. It's better than that.
It wasn't our plan, but it's very tempting now.
Yeah, we're not going to give you shit.
But how are you, James? Tell us, how you doing?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes.
I'm struggling a bit because we talked about this in our podcast. I think I talked about it on my episode with you. I do forget I've got ADHD. And one of the things which we talk about is good days are the enemy of bad days. And if you go through a couple of weeks and things are working and you're kind of on fire and things are good, when it, as it does, all falls to pieces and you get anxiety and everything's overwhelming, you just, that roller coaster, which I know you guys have talked about that. Oh, it's good, and now it's shit. And then it's good again, and now it's shit. I'm at the dip of that roller coaster. So it's been a hard 2 or 3 weeks, but hopefully I'm towards the other end of it. But it's lovely to be able to speak to you guys and to people who know that, people who understand that.
Yeah,
it's
we're
really
definitely
important.
not alone because we've been struggling a bit this last wee while.
Oh God, do you know what I've done? And it's the second time I've done it, and it also happens to be a holiday. And basically I forgot to get my meds. I forgot to order them. But the problem is it made me feel very upset, made me feel really sad. And I was having some issues thinking, oh, maybe the meds are too much. Anyway, boring
I think
story.
you've just reminded Alex to be
I just
Got to get my man. It's Friday.
light bulb moment there.
Yeah, but my husband was just like, well, why are you so upset about it? And I was just like, because I was being very, very melodramatic as I can be. It was just like, I just don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. And that's what it feels like. It's just like, oh my God, what's going to happen this week? So that's going to be fun.
Can't wait.
It's one of the beautiful things about the ableist society we live in, that actually I was speaking to a friend of mine whose sister is going through the process of titration, and her titration nurse is basically saying, you have to contact me when you want a prescription, but I'm going on holiday next month, so you won't be able to get it then, and then I'm working here a couple of weeks after that, so you won't be able to get it then. And it's horrendous to think that you're going through this process of trying to sort it out, and just getting hold of the drugs when you've got ADHD is massively ableist. I forgot to go to my blood pressure appointment, so I can't order mine again until I've been and had my blood pressure checked. I also forgot to go to a blood test as well, and that means that it's all these little hoops you have to go through, which if you are not neurodivergent are dead easy. But for us, remembering the date, putting it in your diary on the right day and time, and then paying attention to the notification, it don't work sometimes, does it?
Yeah, you're literally battling the symptoms of your brain disorder to get the treatment that you need for said brain disorder. It is
absolutely
doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, does it? But the next question I was going to ask you is, are you going to make us cry again?
I mean, it's always my aim in any conversation with somebody to make them cry. I don't know if I talked last time I came on your podcast about making Mrs. ADHD cry, because it's one of my greatest joys actually. Is because, but not because I want my wife to cry, but because she's so funny when she cries. that when other people, Alex, I don't know if you've seen the full Mrs. ADHD cry, have you?
No, I don't think I have.
So our friend Neil saw her cry for the first time and just looked at me and went, "What's going on? What's happening?" Because when she cries, and I can't describe it, but I now cannot help the knee-jerk reaction of laughing my ass off when she cries, even over quite serious things, which is very inappropriate, and then trying to film her cry because
You're really
I want other
to people's feelings, aren't you?
massively sensitive.
So we don't mean to ignore you, Alex, at all. It's just that obviously, as there are two of you, we want to ask lots of questions. And James was our first guest ever, which was episode 5 of the podcast. And James, you were also the first person to come onto our We Are ADHDAF. It only takes a minute. ADHDAF campaign, telling us what you want the world to know about ADHD. So that's why we will come back to you, Alex. This is your punishment.
I'm used to it.
Our campaign.
While we're on the subject of Mrs. ADHD, how is she since her diagnosis, and how are you feeling now that the wait is finally over?
It's a good point, and I'll try and do this quickly. She went through a process a lot of us do, which is went to the doctor, said, "Can you refer me by a right to choose to, in this case, Psychiatry UK?" And the doctor said, "I don't know." And then she checked, and in the end, they didn't. They referred her to the local service, and she waited something like 16 months in the end, had loads of ableist episodes of, "You've got an appointment, we're not going to tell you who with." She had that appointment, and then a letter, "If you don't return these forms in 2 weeks, you're off the list." And then 3 months later, another letter saying, "We've got no idea when your appointment's going to be, but you'll have 2 weeks notice, and if you can't make it, you're off the list again." And then in the end, which she went back, she's really been struggling at work, and in general struggling. So this time she spoke to the receptionist, and that was the key, and said, "I want to be referred by right to choose." And the receptionist it was that actually then got the doctor to do this. And she didn't wait that long at all, partly because of the issues she's got. And you can, with some of these organizations, if you're at serious risk of losing your job or going to prison or failing a relationship, etc., you can sometimes get seen a bit quicker. But she waited a lot less than she did during the NHS, got her diagnosis, and then interestingly, when she walked down the stairs from this video call, her face was serene. I said, "What happened?" She went, "I've got ADHD." And I went, "Well, yeah, I know that, but I was looking for the emotional response and there was none." And I thought, give it time. And then about 6 hours later, she was on the sofa, and I could just see that 1,000-yard stare as she was just somewhere else, and a little tear forming in her eye. And I said, "You okay?" And it had, I think, hit her after 6 hours, and she had a bit of a cry. And I didn't laugh that time because it wasn't a funny cry; it was just a little cry. And we had a bit of a cuddle. And I said, "Listen, this is what's going to happen now for a little while. It's going to be Good days, I accept it. Bad days, I haven't got medication yet, and it's all shit. Good days, I'm doing okay. Bad days, what is the future? So she's doing okay, but like all of us, it's a difficult transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Yours is coming up so soon, 4th of October.
Yeah.
How do you think you will feel? Do you think...
I don't know, because I already had an assessment through the uni with the educational psychologist.
Yeah.
Like, I've already had that moment where I got told I had ADHD and
Yeah.
burst out crying. Immediately, it was just like relief. I am not a complete and utter fuck up. There's something else going on here. So yeah, I don't know. I think, again, it's just going to be that final piece of validation for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens on the day. I'm sure there'll be emotions.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. It's all very emotional, isn't it? They're like a grief cycle. And it's funny to sort of see it progress. I know that I've definitely felt very angry for quite a long time. And I feel like I'm doing better with that, which is good. But there was a while there where I just literally was just completely fueled by rage, which is weird as well, because you can't see it. And I don't know if that's masking or just because I talk like a chipmunk. But, I definitely, in like doing the podcast, there are times when I've been talking, I've been so angry, and I'll listen to it back and you can't tell. That weirds me out. Like, I don't seem like a rageful beast, but that's good.
I think, I remember the one time I did get angry on the podcast, and I thought I've been super angry. I've possibly gone over the top there, and then played it back and thought, you don't appear angry at all. You're just swearing, which is different. So I totally get that actually expressing that anger sometimes it doesn't come out the way in which we feel it does. And part of that is because of our lack of ability to regulate our emotions and to be aware of the emotional impact of what we're saying, or the emotional weight of what we're saying, I guess.
Yeah. So just for the listeners that maybe haven't heard your previous interviews, can you tell us a bit about your podcast and the charity and the work that you guys do?
Do you want me to let Balloonhead do it, because he's not said much yet?
Go on then.
My balloon head.
Yes, you are, Balloonhead. You know you are.
I don't know the reference. Okay, we are the ADHD Adults podcast, and we formed after we started a charity called ADHD Adult UK, which should have been Adult ADHD UK, but I registered the wrong domain name because I wasn't paying attention. That's why we're that.
That's brilliant.
So good.
Yeah, I'm Alex. And James and I started this together because we hadn't got anything really that for people like us. The other ADHD stuff was focused on American culture and Americans, which is, fantastic. There's loads of them, but it's a different culture to a lot of the English speaking world. And we needed something for us. And a lot of it is loads of bullshit that isn't evidence based. And we're scientists, and we didn't like that either. We needed, if you're going to tell us to take zinc, we need to know there is some evidence that might be helpful. There is actually for zinc, but it's not strong. But if you're going to tell us to take a certain kind of oil, that's definitely, we need to know where that information is coming from. So we thought, well, we'll find out and tell people just if it's likely to be true or not.
Yeah.
And the other thing was we swear a lot, and we're irreverent and we're flippant. And we think the opposite of funny is not serious. We think both together is okay. And we weren't finding that. So that's what we did, isn't it, James? What we started. It was my idea to start a podcast.
Yeah,
James,
well,
reluctantly.
Get fucked for a start. It wasn't your idea. The amount of times we've had this conversation that's led to us both frantically searching WhatsApp for the term podcast, and then just pointing out that it was me that said, it was James. And the exact message was, I hate to say it, but we've got to do a podcast. And it took you a while. No. Yeah, exactly. It takes a while to accept externally authored decisions, but eventually we got going, and no one listened for ages, and then about 12 people started, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, we are massive fans of your podcast, as you know.
It's taught me a lot about myself. Yeah.
And just like the process, like one of the things I think that I found most valuable in your podcast was like remembering to have all of the information with you. As you both know from our interview that happened just now, I go off on a tangent. I can and I think I'm aware that I talk a bit too much, or my brain's kind of somewhere else. And then I worry that I've said too much, and then I lose what I've said within it. And I'm just literally talking as a filler whilst I catch up in my brain where I'm actually meant to be. So I know that in that kind of stressful environment, had I not have heard your podcast, I wouldn't have been armed with everything that I needed to know, because, some people might think that they're being not tricked, but like caught out. And I don't even know this,
everyone feels like
like
that.
you know you have ADHD, you know you have to try and explain how you feel and what your symptoms are. But actually, had I not have listened to your podcast, I probably wouldn't have reflected back so far and talked about childhood and talked about relationships. And those things are actually criteria. And I don't know if I would have connected those dots without listening to the podcast. I probably would have just gone in there, rambled a load of shit, and they would have just said, you're really depressed and anxious, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons I suppose we started doing what we were doing, because we're kind of science nerds, and we go and look at the NICE guidelines and we read the DSM-5, the diagnostic manual, which alongside the World Health Organization manual is used to define how you diagnose ADHD. We knew what they're looking for, and we thought, well, it's useful for people to know that, because as you've said, if you go in and predominantly it sounds like you've got anxiety, which is one of the manifestations of ADHD. If you don't explain the other stuff, or you can't think, you're asked, well, did you have the symptom as a child? I don't know, I'm not sure, because you can't think back. Then that could have impacted the ability of a psychiatrist to work out, well, is this anxiety? Is it ADHD? And therefore we thought, well, let's put that stuff out there in a podcast, on the website, let people know what those criteria are.
We like people to know that we're kind of different. I know other people don't like the word freaks and geeks, but I do for me. And so when you just said, Laura, that how much our podcast helped you, immediately I shut down. I don't know if you noticed, but neither of us said a word, because we have an inappropriate emotional reaction to compliments. I just go, oh God, no. I find that like incredibly difficult, and so it wasn't because we didn't love to hear it. I think we both do, but it's very we are odd. We are neurodivergent from average, more than clinically more than average. So that was why.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, I'm sad I didn't make you cry, but
nothing makes Alex cry because he's a psychopath.
I can't, unfortunately.
So actually let's go back to you, James. You have a lot on your plate. You said you're struggling a bit at the moment, juggling everything and your symptoms. Like, how do you cope, or what are your coping strategies? What are you trying to do to be able to cope? Is that a silly
I'm going to say drugs, but I mean that's it's a maladaptive coping strategy, but that plays a part. My coping strategy is just keep going until your body stops working and everything falls to pieces. And that's it's not a positive coping strategy, but because one of the 18 areas of ADHD is a question of, do you often feel like you're driven by a motor? And nothing could describe my ADHD better. I have to be doing something. So whilst, as we were saying earlier, I am feeling burnt out and exhausted, and I've got lots of anxiety because of my workload, second I try and stop, it actually gets way worse. The second I think, you know what, I'm going to have this weekend off and I'm just going to sit with Mrs. ADHD and we'll sit in the garden, not a fucking chance, because my brain just screams, do something, structure, there's got to be some activities. So every day, I'm not sleeping well at the minute, which doesn't help. The second I get up, it's right, start doing something. Can't kind of get up and have a lazy breakfast and put on the telly or whatever. It's just get up, get dressed, start doing something. I'll have a bath in a bit, keep on doing something, and then often hyper focus on doing that until it's 8 hours later and think, well, yeah, I really should have had a drink or taken my meds, etc. So my coping mechanism is maladaptive. It's negative, and that is just keep going forward. I would love to have better coping mechanisms, but I know that the anxiety I get when I'm not doing something is so powerful that actually just keeping on doing something at the minute is the only way I can control, those, if you like, demons, the genuine fear of taking a rest and stopping.
It's interesting because I feel like I've heard this somewhere else before.
Just me knocking about the house at 5 a.m. making things to do.
I'm the same, but my thing is that I focus on the wrong things and the unimportant things, and that's
and
my
you
problem.
Can sleep, you bastard.
Yeah,
just sleep. Like, I've got nothing to do. I'm going to go to bed at 9 p.m. and just sleep.
I do it because I'm bored. I'll go to bed at 9 p.m. because I'm bored and I don't have anything to do. So I'm just like, right, I'm just going to go to bed.
That is actually that's what, again, one of the coping mechanisms. Alex and I talk about domestic anxiety, which isn't a real and defined kind of type of anxiety, but it is something we hear a lot from people with ADHD, of this kind of transient form of anxiety at the end of a working day or at a weekend, or when you're going on holiday, of that fear of having nothing to do, no structure, no tasks, even though we struggle with engaging with tasks. And that going to bed thing, there have been some days at 2 PM where I've thought, I just want to go to bed. But because I've taken my ADHD meds, I'm not going to fucking sleep for hours. Yeah. And it's again, I totally get that. Go to bed because I'm bored, there's nothing to do.
It's either go to bed or my head will be in the fridge and I'll just be eating. Because that's like I'll be bored. So I'm like, what can I eat?
Yeah.
So take yourself to bed. It stops you from eating. I mean, a lot of the time I'll sit on my phone and play games. That's what I go off into. I just play games for hours on my phone. But I just can't focus on the right things.
Yeah. Dawn shared a really good analogy today about how her ADHD feels.
I was pissed yesterday with my friend and we were walking from one pub to the other. And I was also hungover because we'd been out the day before. I'd been up visiting her and we've not seen each other all summer. So we were making up for lost time, essentially. And the symptoms of ADHD are 10 times worse when you're hungover. And it was honestly like anything was distracting me. We were sitting playing cards in the pub and the next minute I'd be like somewhere else. And it took us so long to finish a game of cards. And then I said to Claire when we were walking to the pub, it's like there's a crowd of people inside of your head. And all these people have thoughts and they're each trying to get to the front to shout their thought to you. And as another one comes to the front, the thought that was in your head is just being pushed to the back. And then he's getting pushed backwards, flung down a cliff. So that thought's gone. It didn't exist. Sometimes they can clamber back up the cliff and come in, but most of the time they can't. And you've just got these little people just shouting thoughts constantly.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to be heard.
Yeah.
But because there's so much noise, you can't hear any of them.
It's a ball ache, isn't it?
Or you hear the wrong one, or you hear the wrong ones.
That is.
It's a ball ache.
It's almost specifically word for word what Mrs. ADHD says. That there are so many voices, there's so many trains of thought, and occasionally one will slip out.
Yeah.
And I'll say, what? And she'll say, it's the first I've heard about it, mate. And and then when we kind of probe a subject, she'll say, well, there's a lot of noise about that today, and point to her head because a lot of the voices are focusing on one thing, for example. But absolutely, it's, a browser with too many tabs open, too many people talking in a room. It's absolutely that.
I had a thought yesterday that literally split in three, and it happened in an instant, and I'm really annoyed because I meant to write it down immediately so I could remember it, but I didn't, obviously. But it was three things that were in no way connected, and they happened at exactly the same moment, and I was like, that is a lot. Like, how does that even work?
I was once walking past someone and one of my thoughts bubbled to the surface. And as I walked directly past them, I said out loud, accidentally, "Où est le bonk?" Because in Birmingham, Aston. And it was 20 years ago and it still haunts me at night.
Yeah, I do stuff like that all the time. Superb.
That's so funny. I know one of the things I was going to say, it's like what you were talking about with alcohol, like how your symptoms are worse. And then we've talked about it before, but like, I honestly think that's how I went so long in life, not knowing that I had ADHD, is because I was basically hungover for about 20 years. And so then all of the problems that I had and things I'd forget and I'd be late and this would happen or there'd be a conflict or something, it'd be like, oh, it's because I'm out too much. It's because I'm hungover. It's because I'm not. And actually, it wasn't until I sort of tried out that it was like, oh, actually, no, my brain just doesn't work.
No, I'm still like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell us, James, please, what do you love about Alex?
Oh, fuck off. Jesus.
It is ADHD Awareness Month and we are pulling together as a community.
Okay. I mean, love is a strong...
You can do it. We believe in you.
Love is a strong word, isn't it? Let's be honest. What do I love about Alex? Is very little acceptable answer?
No. You can do better than this.
Okay, what I love about Alex is that he inspired me to become an ADHD coach through showing me how effective it can work, and I have to couch this with a bit of an insult because that's what we do, for being an amazing coach and a twat. That I love the fact that actually he can employ this incredible technique to help other people, and yet still has massive imposter syndrome when doing it. And I do love both his coaching ability and his imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That was beautiful. And just the right amount of backhandedness at the same time.
Exactly. It was a work of art, that was.
So aside from just spilling powdered milk all over your office, are we going to go with that as the most ADHD thing you've done this week, or is there more?
I mean, God, just take your pick. Take your pick. There's probably 30 things on a daily basis. We'll go with that simply because I'm looking at it now. And it looks like Pablo Escobar's toilet in here, to be honest. I mean, you guys can see this. There's a pile, which I'm guessing is about 1.5 ounces, I guess. How do I know that? Dried milk powder near the kettle area at the back because I put the lid on the bottom instead of the top of the powdered milk. Yeah, and then just walked around showering it and didn't notice. So that probably is a decent example. Yeah, fuck me.
Superb.
That's brilliant.
And you just happened to come on Zoom at the exact moment
all
this was going on.
To show us some more.
Yeah, just down there.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
Superb.
Oh, dear. Well, thank you for that. So Alex, we'd like to know what goes on inside your perfectly normal shaped head.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm excellent, thank you. Very well. I had a really, really fucking horrible summer, like really horrible. Both of my sons were ill. I'm not going to say any more about it, and everything's getting back to normal now, and so I'm happy again. So yeah, good. I'm very lucky that I was diagnosed a long, long time ago, and I'll never ever not have ADHD, but I'm what you would probably call someone who has ADHD treated and managed for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I still have it, but I'm less. The self-loathing is less in me than it is with old David Bowie head over there, Derek Bowie head.
Can at least pronounce his surname properly if you're going to announce it, Alex, can't you?
Did I get it right?
No, of course you didn't.
Oh, Derek Bowie. Don't know.
But then do you think that is in part because obviously as you were diagnosed a long time ago, you've been through that process, so now you are more at acceptance? Would you say you're at acceptance? Are you there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it took a long time it's the only answer. It took a long time. It takes work with some really good people to help me. And yeah, I got lucky. I got really, really lucky because people listen to you, I think, more, and they're prepared to help you more, professionally speaking, when you're the old white man.
Yeah.
You get luckier. It's almost like somebody should have invented the word privilege. I don't know if they have. Yeah, but I've exploited that. But what we try and do is like share that a little bit because I got lucky.
Yeah, that's really good.
So the next question we have is, how do you think that episode just went? The one where we joined you.
Where we were your guests.
Of our podcast, terribly. Yeah. No, I mean any episode that's about to bring the term fat crabs to the world is a fantastic thing.
That is a word of the week.
It really is. And I do think it's one word as well. No, obviously really good. I mean, excited to get it out there. Very much so.
Oh, thank you so much for collaborating with us. So as you didn't enter our campaign, what would you like the world to know about ADHD, Alex?
So firstly, I did mean to. It was executive dysfunction. That's why. That's I desperately do. Someone would have had to have been more explicit with telling me what to do and when. There's so much I want the world to know about ADHD. Yeah. So much. I've come up with 2 small ones because there's 1,000, which is why you and I do this podcast, right? And that it isn't a question of willpower. That's what I want people to know. There are things we can't do. It's not that we don't want to. We want to do them more than you know. There are things we can't do at all. They're impossible. And there are things that we can only do at the expense of serious mental health problems. That's a biggie. And the other one is to say that everyone has ADHD traits. That's what they say, isn't it? It's true. Everyone has ADHD traits. And some of those traits can be fun. It's impulsive behavior, highly stimulated by risk, all the fun stuff. It frustrates me when people say that because then they miss the next bit. For me, it's a bit like how everyone might enjoy going to Disneyland Paris, or the other one. Le Bon. We have to go every day to Disneyland Paris. That's the problem. whether we
Yeah.
want to or not. Imagine if you were forced to go every day. Go on the roller coaster again. I don't want to. I just want to sit with my kids. Well, you can't. You've got to do. You'll be bored by that. And I don't want to go to Disneyland Paris every day. Everybody can enjoy it occasionally, but we don't get that choice. We have to have this fizzy brain all the fucking time.
Mhm.
And I want people to know just how that feels when they're saying, "Oh, but sometimes I forget things." Oh, do you? Do you? Because just spend a few hours with me and see how it would feel, and that's with emotional acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is such a good one. Good too. Thank you for sharing that. I actually really quite like seeing you angry because I've not seen it before.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of aggression from Alex there. It was great.
Love it. So what are your hopes for the future of your charity?
I mean, there's only one really, isn't there? That we're looking to replace James, and at the moment, what we've done is we've carved a picture of. I can't even say that because of the book. So that joke is redacted for culturally sensitive regions. Anyway, we've carved that out of a pumpkin, and we're using that to replace James. But no, the real answer is we want to do group events, live and online group events, and we want to advocate more. We're working a little bit with ADHD Foundation, some other organisations to advocate a bit more, and we train organisations, but we really want to do that more as well. We need to fund that though.
Yeah.
Can I jump in? So the process of setting up the charity was actually very simple. What has been massively ableist and slowed us down is in January the 4th, we were incorporated as a charity. We still don't have a bank account because the processes of opening a bank account, particularly when you're a charity, are massively ableist. So we went to Metro Bank, first of all. I don't mind naming them. And they said, bring these forms with you face to face. So I took the forms and they went, oh yeah, no, you needed this form as well. So I obviously went absolutely fucking ballistic, stormed out, leaving Mrs. ADHD at the counter and said, well, I'm not going back there. So then we looked into, okay, well, let's find one that does an online application. That's going to be simple. And we went with HSBC and we applied online, and all the 4 trustees had to fill in their bits and electronically sign stuff. And then I spoke to a representative and went through all of these questions. And then we sat and we waited and we waited and we waited. And after about 3 months, we'd had nothing. And in the end, I emailed the representative, waited a couple of weeks, emailed again, waited a couple of weeks. And then, and Alex hates this, because I've got a blue tick on Twitter, I thought I'm just going to fucking name him and shame him. So I did a tweet saying, hi, HSBC, just to let you know, we've been waiting now 4 months to hear if we've got our charity bank account. Any update? And of course, they went, oh, contact this customer complaints line. Did that. And we found out that the guy that was handling the application left and deleted our application.
No.
So, yeah. So we were then given to a new application handler, Georgiana. She's lovely and she was brilliant. And we actually chatted for ages about ADHD and not just the application. And then eventually we were sent through some forms to send back. We sent the forms back as requested by email, waited another month to be told, oh no, we need wet ink signatures. Sorry. So we've sent those off. And now, and it's now, I can't even count the months between January and wherever we are now. We still don't have that bank account. Many months. We still don't have that bank account. So we can't do the things we're going to do. Now we have, and I'm not going to name the person or the organization, but we have a VP of a bank who has ADHD and is coming on board as a trustee, who has got that bank to agree to do some matched funding, some salary sacrifice, to give us some real money, which we are going to use to help people, whether it's to help subsidize access to coaching, whether it's to help subsidize access to diagnosis, whether it's to well, this is it. We want to genuinely help people. And I know that the podcast, the psychoeducation, the social media accounts help, but we want to do more than that. But obviously that costs money. And the hope is that we are broadening the number of trustees to include some people who are pretty big hitting. We're going to start getting some money in, and then we've got to start deciding, well, what do we do? Obviously, the online group coaching sessions, which we're going to start soon, are going to be really helpful, but we want to do more. We really do.
Yeah.
This was my question, really, James. So if you just
I know it was Alex, but I just
no, but that's fantastic.
I'm
so
thinking
happy
of
to hear that. It's been an ordeal for you, and that's absolute bullshit across the board. But we're really excited to see what comes next, and it's fantastic that you're.
I'm looking forward to my coaching.
Yeah, can we have some coaching? We'll help you. But we need some coaching.
We'll help you, but you need to help us first so that we can help you.
Yeah, just don't have Alex as your coach, because
So you guys have so much going on. How do you manage to keep this plate spinning, Alex?
Well, we've got the thing, haven't we? It's the thing. You know, the thing we have, all of us. It's that. It's specifically us. James and I communicate freakishly well together. The people often say, "Oh, you're so horrible to each other," but it's a joke. We're in on it. The joke. It's just me then teasing James about going on. What he said was perfect. And that's why I make a joke of it, and he knows that, and I know that, and that's helpful. So when I can't do something, I text him and say I'm struggling and I can't do it, and James always says, "No worries, I'll you take a break. I'll sort it out." You know, that's why. Yeah. And I delegate as much as I can, but also we do fun stuff. So it might look hard to other people, but I'd probably be doing it anyway. And badly, so we try and make sure that we do fun stuff. Mm-hmm. I've always, post-diagnosis, I've been able to figure out what I can do that A, I like, and B, doesn't cost me, mentally speaking. It's what James is shit at, and that's what we work together on, because of self-loathing, which we all have. Is he'll put his mental health in the bin to achieve for people, and I will not do that.
Wow,
because I'm healthier.
Yeah.
Sometimes, maybe if it's the kids, but that's why. That's what we do, I think.
Yeah. So, like for us, we have been lucky enough to have somebody we've put out on loads of podcast episodes, like, help us, we don't know what we're doing, and somebody has come along to help us. We're calling her the finance fairy, because we haven't actually asked her, well, if we can mention her or not. So the finance fairy is coming to save the day, because between the two of us, we can't really organise this up in a brewery, to be honest. Well, we can.
I could organise that.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And so, we are trying to figure out our next steps, because we really, really want to do more. And I think, I guess on some level, I'm saying if we can ever be any help to you or anything, I think it's a funny old thing, really. Like, we aren't going to stop, and we don't know what it looks like or how exactly,
and
but
where we're going,
or what we're doing. But it's really fucked up what's going on. Yeah. And we can't bear it, and we're hearing it every day, and it's bad enough that we've been through it, but to hear what's going on is just like, nah. Okay, we're good. We're really prepared to fight.
Yeah, and, we've had to struggle, and we don't want other people to struggle.
Yeah, so anyway. But what was that? What was my point in that? I had a point. Is there any advice you want to give us? Is there anything you want to tell us about what we're doing? And I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't change what you're doing. You're absolutely nailing it. You really are. I mean, I follow you, and we talk a lot on social medias, but just this is a wanky scientist thing to say, but looking at your numbers and your metrics, it's not normal for a podcast, what you're doing, the numbers you're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's because of authenticity. So if I was a coach, I would start to ask you about some of those things, about feeling the pressure of the podcast, and maybe how you can delegate them, or at least reframe those thoughts. So someone telling you their problems, instead of having to solve them, being someone that can just listen and say, that sounds fucking awful, because that's what they need. Do they need a problem solver, or do they need just a community? And I think it's probably the last one.
Yeah, I think it's that we've kind of swapped roles a bit with that, because I was getting upset about things, and Dawn, you take much more value in helping, whereas as much as I do, I also take it on and feel really angry about it. So we kind of swapped around there. But it's also,
you take everyone's issues on board.
I feel personally responsible for everyone's feelings for some reason.
Same here.
Whereas I think I can kind of disassociate a little bit from it, and just kind of say what needs to be said.
Yeah.
But that's
well undone. Thank God. But I think it's also quite funny to think about it in terms of other podcasts and sort of casting the net out and trying to speak to people, and that's quite funny. But we really do feel like we are on the same team as everybody else, and however that looks. And all right, we, like you say, we always say we don't know what we're talking about, and we've been told off for saying that because we're experts by experience, but really we don't know what we're talking about. and we want to learn and we want to collaborate, because I just think we've got to join forces. And the whole I have this idea of like, I want to do a march through London, and we're going to get to the Houses of Parliament, and there'll be thousands of us all dressed in leopard print. And the finance fairy was like, that's genius. I think you should have a national holiday, which is ADHDAF Day, where everybody wears leopard print as a show of solidarity that we want change. And we laughed at it, and then we were like, yeah, we should do that. So on the 22nd of October, if you fancy wearing a piece of leopard print,
Always.
And apparently it's not that difficult to get a national day. So
but this one is a trial.
Yeah.
And then by next year we'll have an actual national day.
ADHDAF Day.
I mean, you might be unsurprised to hear that I obviously have something that's leopard skin, so it's not difficult for me to.
I'm not surprised in
that.
the slightest.
What about
I
you,
can't-
Alex? Do you have any leopard print?
Right now, apart from the nipple tassels, nothing.
Apart from your thong.
And the thong, obviously,
Yeah.
the working underpants.
So, Alex, tell us, what do you love about James? And be honest.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem. I've got a laminated sheet with all this written on already, obviously. His hair, obviously. His wife. He knows how to edit podcasts. I don't. And have I said his hair? I've already done that one. That's it. No,
you can do better.
I'm emotionally available. This is the difference between James and me. I'm more than prepared to say, how close James and I, that we love each other very, very much, really, because of the openness of communication. It's James that's crap at it, and because I don't have feelings.
Yeah, exactly. Not normal feelings. Obviously, we do love each other very, very deeply, and
it's just jokes, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Well, we play caricatures of ourselves effectively. On the podcast.
I do honestly spend time thinking about how to annoy you, though, when you're not there. And my wife said it's not healthy.
He'll send
a unique form of stimming is just like winding each other up. Yeah.
Yeah, but even when he doesn't tell me, so sometimes he'll send me a picture of him doing something he knows will wind me up, but sometimes he don't. He'll just do it anyway and chuckle at the thought that James would hate this, but not tell me.
Yeah,
you don't
I really do.
So brilliant.
We've got a friend, Snehal, who's a proper doctor up in the north, and so I can't say his real name, but I sometimes just text him something that would annoy James, and we don't even tell James. We just laugh about it together.
How wound up he would be.
Yeah, exactly.
That's brilliant. Okay, so Alex, tell us, what is the most ADHD thing you have done this week?
That's a good. I mean, there's always a lot in there. Everyone says that, do they? Oh, well, how many have you got? But I think in the spirit of like emotional honesty, so I forgot my meds on Sunday, and I'd agreed to have like a TV night with the kids. Fucking torture. Just sitting. Awful. Yeah, that's the most ADHD thing. Just sitting there going, this is worse than, being on the rack. I have to pay attention. They're looking at you as well. When something funny happens, they look at you to check you're laughing.
Aww.
Yeah, that was tough. Because not very good.
Oh, bless you. That is
probably that.
So
I'm also stuck in Germany because I can't get a visa because I didn't organise my German language test in time, so I can't get back to empty my office because I'm leaving my job this week, and I've got to phone and beg them to.
Oh no,
that's pretty ADHD.
Yeah.
Superb.
That is brilliant. So, do we have any final reflections? Is there anything that you want to say about ADHD Awareness Month? About anything you want to share?
Just thanks for having us on, and we do feel like a community with you as well. And we were there really early for the start of your amazing podcast, and we really love it. And let's just keep collaborating. Apart from James,
we would love that.
What I'd say is, as we talked about on the reciprocated episode, is use your voice. For lots of people, they struggle to maybe vocalize what ADHD means to them. And because there's so much stigma, there's so much misinformation, there's so much myth and bullshit out there. One of the things we talk about a lot is write a letter to yourself. Write down what your ADHD means to you, how it manifests on a daily basis, how it makes you feel. And that document can change over time. But actually, that letter to yourself can inform conversations you can have with people, so that when people say things like, well, is ADHD real? Or yes, but don't we all do that? You can then verbalize something which you might not in the moment be able to think of, because we're not that good at thinking on the spot, and occasionally we can then just become frustrated and say, oh, no, it's not true. But write that letter to yourself. Learn how to communicate what your ADHD means to you, because then you can educate somebody a little bit about what it really is, because it's not young boys running around acting out at school and misbehaving. That's not what it is. That's one tiny, tiny little minuscule part of it. And then the more that we can have these conversations, so people realize, oh, that's what it is. They don't know about working memory issues. They don't know about time blindness or about emotional dysregulation or RSC and all the shit that comes with it.
Yeah.
That sometimes is more disabling than not being able to pick what you focus on or being a bit hyperactive. So that's what I'd say is learn how to communicate your ADHD. And if you're confident enough, talk to people about it.
Yeah, that's so fantastic. We always talk about self-inventory, but actually writing a letter to yourself. Should we do? Is that our homework? Should we do it?
That's your task before our next session.
Okay.
I've done it before. I've done it before where I've written to my inner child.
Oh yeah,
when
but
I've been doing stuff, but I've never really done anything.
This is what my
with the
ADHD looks like. I think.
But can I say that if people do want to use their authentic voice to explain what they're doing, listen to ADHD as females, because that I know you don't really understand the numbers, but that's why. Because it's real, what you're saying, it's you, and you're saying the real things, and other people struggle to do that. And for some reason, you two have got this chemistry where you can be emotionally available and honest to about this horrible thing, and that's why. So people should listen to you and do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
That's very, very kind. It's so funny, isn't it? I think like this sort of week, I've been so overwhelmed with like RSD and kind of imposter syndrome coming in, kind of like. Woke up one day, we've done some funny shit. I've written some snotty emails just to amuse myself, like really done some funny shit. And then I just randomly woke up one day last week and went, what am I doing? Who the hell do I think I am? Why am I doing this? Yeah. I literally woke up and did that. So yeah, I think it would be good to actually sit down and go, that's how you're going to trip yourself up. That's what's going to happen, instead of jumping on board that train and being like, Laura, what are you doing?
I still feel like this is a game. When you were younger and you used to like record yourself, or I don't know if everyone did this, but record yourself on a tape player and pretend you're a radio presenter.
Yeah.
This doesn't like this still doesn't feel like real life to me. This is just me recording myself from a pretend radio station.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
I can't get my head around it.
But we are super grateful. We're super grateful to you guys for inspiring us, for your support, for helping us. We're so grateful to everyone for listening. And just this community is a special one, and we have to pull together.
We do.
Because we're all fighting for the same cause.
Absolutely. And it's no exclusive club. It's, we know that getting a diagnosis is a privilege and a postcode lottery, and we've all got to support each other and be empathetic to people, whether they've managed to get a diagnosis or they feel they can advocate enough for themselves or not, is to be aware, and if you can see that somebody's struggling, to just be compassionate and show yourself that compassion as well.
Yes,
that was really cheesy, wasn't it?
Really terrible. No, it's right, isn't it? No diagnosis needed.
Absolutely. So I was going to say happy ADHD Awareness Month.
Yeah.
I don't know. ADHD Awareness Month. Put your leopard print on and join the party.
Yeah.
That means you, Alex. We want to see a picture. We want to see a picture of Alex in leopard skin print on the 22nd.
We want to see that thong.
I was about to say, should we just send
No. We're not taking it that far. For fuck's sake, please don't. Because I know he has no shame, and he would probably.
It's been said now, James. It's fixed.
The seed has been planted.
We're sending you both leopard print ADHDAF thongs because we're also really desperate to see James's fat crabs. Can you see them? Are they invisible things?
No, they're invisible. I mean, it's a bit like Mrs. ADHD gets the arm squeezers, the finger pullers, the back crawlers. In certain situations, I'm not going to say because I'll get her in trouble. Fat crabs are also invisible. That's why they're so hard to treat.
Okay. All makes sense.
Thank you. And now you really have taught us something today. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
We shouldn't take up any more of your time, but we are super grateful, and go team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us on, particularly Alex, because obviously your figures are going to drop down for this episode because of him being there.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't get out of the house, do I, much? So it's nice to be invited.
That's true.
We hope you enjoyed that part 2 of the collaborative episode with the ADHD adults. As ever, we are super, super grateful to the boys. And what I think is really funny about the couple of episodes that we've just done is that what we set out to do was to share our experiences in the hope that they help others to like validate this shared experience that we have of late diagnosis. Now, what's funny is that in talking to the boys, we've got this other shared experience, which is really quite strange and unique and special of then podcasting as late diagnosed ADHDers to help the ADHD community and to raise awareness. So it's a different spin on the same thing.
We're helping each other help each other with different things that are helping each other.
Something like that. Yeah, something along those lines.
I don't even know what I just said there, but it made sense in my head.
Made sense to me as well. But yeah, the other thing that we wanted to talk about is we've got quite a lot coming up for ADHD Awareness Month, actually.
Yeah, we do.
But one of the ones we're most excited about is ADHDAF Day. Yes. So we are working with a wonderful woman called Sarah who came up with this idea that we should have I always make a joke about wanting to do a march, past the Houses of Parliament leading a leopard print army to make change. And
a bunch of cat slaters, basically.
Yeah, cat slaters marching to Houses of Parliament. And Sarah said, you know what, you should have a national day. And we all laughed. And it was like, oh, well, no, actually, we have got a platform and that would be really, really fun. So we are trying to round up the troops of our ADHDAF army. We ask you to wear leopard print as a show of solidarity to raise awareness about ADHD and to help us make some noise. So the reason why that's funny is because it's on the 21st.
But I called it the 21st. No, I called it the 20. I don't even know what I called it.
22nd.
22nd, that's
22nd in a message. And then because I'm so bad with numbers, I got confused and thought that it was on the 22nd, and that was the part of the statement that you got wrong. Yeah. So I put out a post saying it's on Friday the 22nd, and Sarah was like, that's the most ADHD thing you've done all week. Friday is the 21st. So it is the penultimate Friday in ADHD Awareness Month. That's right, isn't it? Penultimate Friday.
Yeah.
And it's the 21st. And you don't have to go head to toe leopard print because not everybody is as cat slater as us.
Yeah.
But we would love you to wear a leopard print item as a show of solidarity. Please take a photograph or a little video and tag us. Put it on your story, put it on your page. And we'd like to round up the troops as a show of solidarity.
ADHDAF Day.
I think I put out We Are ADHDAF Day, and I haven't even decided that, but ADHDAF Day, whatever.
Yeah.
Just tag us in your photos, tag us in your videos, and let's join forces and make some noise in leopard print. The leopard also being the symbol of Aberdeen, which is where we are.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of all that, I'm sitting in my head here being like, ADHDAF Day, this is ADHDAF, we are ADHDAF. I don't know, we'll come up with something.
We'll come up with something, but yeah, as long as you tag us, wear a little bit of leopard print that penultimate Friday of ADHD Awareness Month. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess we better go get you prepped for
Assessment Day.
Assessment Day tomorrow.
So yeah, next week's episode is essentially going to be a chat of before, after assessment.
Yeah, basically, exploring or divulging how the assessment process went for you.
Yeah, and we're going to just kind of go into it in real time, my whole experience. It's going to be an emotional one.
Yeah. So yeah, we are so excited to share that, and yeah, especially in ADHD Awareness Month. So if you have enjoyed this episode, we would really, really, really appreciate any support that you can give. Obviously, we very much appreciate that times are hard. So if you are unable to donate, if you could write a review on Apple, that would be amazing. If you could hit those stars on Apple or Spotify, if you could share our podcast on an ADHD group with a friend on your story, hit those likes, those saves, those shares, any way you can help us. If you are in a position where you can offer us a little bit of financial support to help us with the podcast, we would be so super grateful.
And you can do that by visiting buymeacoffee.com/ADHD as females, and you can go on there, you can buy us a coffee. A coffee is an equivalent of £5,
And it's just a donation.
which helps us pay for hosting the spodcast
Hosting this podcast.
hosting the podcast and all the other hidden costs that are involved behind the scenes in trying to make this all happen.
And yeah, we've got some big things coming up.
We really do. So yeah,
We really appreciate it.
appreciate your support.
And yeah, we love hearing from you. Please remember, if you want to get in touch with us, we really do love to hear from you. It's only the two of us, and it's getting a lot. So just please don't RSD if we don't come straight back to you. If you've reached out to us, know that we appreciate you. And our advice, as ever, is to reach out for the support you need, because we are not qualified or even emotionally equipped to offer support, and to lean into the community. We are all in this together. We are you. Dawn is getting assessed tomorrow. I got my diagnosis in February. This is happening in real time. So we are not experts. We're just making some noise, because noise needs to be bloody made.
Yeah,
Especially in ADHD Awareness Month.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
let's go.
We've got shit to do. Assessment tomorrow.
Yeah, we do.
Bye.
Bye.
ADHD as females, ADHDAF, ADHD as females.